And away we go. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome, one and all, to Coffee Talk. That is right, it is time for Coffee Talk Live, and that is at Coffee Talk Live or at Trevor University on YouTube, simultaneously broadcasting at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. And it is Friday the 12th of April. Also, you can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Coffee Talk Chat, as well as fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Friday at noon as we get ready to jump into what is going on in the world today. We'll take a look at some snippets from the news, have a little bit of discussion. Being joined today by Little Girl. You can't see her. She's over there on the boxes. Little Girl keeping me company in the corner, the feline. Very strange cat. She doesn't meow. She makes a gagging sound. It sounds like she's choking on something. She doesn't actually meow like other cats. And of course, back to the news. I do read through as many of the comments as is reasonable to help people who are listening and not able to see keep up with the conversation. And I'll go ahead and acknowledge some of those people as they chime in. I see Helter here today, Dragon, Brian, Urban Angst, and Doc Galt have thrown their hat in so far. As again, we're getting ready to get into a discussion about what is going on in the world and see what's up. What is, what isn't, what should be, what will never be. Again, the world, the argument is that the world and life are hard. No, they're not that bad. It's the people in it that make everything difficult. I see Ragnar has joined us. Glad you could make it today. As we get ready to jump into the news, one of the top news stories of the day. Top news stories of the day, and this is actually going to be an NBC News article, something you may have heard about, but we'll go ahead and talk about it because it is a subject that I've brought up a few times. I've talked about it. I've read a complete article on something like this a few months back. As we give Restream a second here, hopefully it'll boot up without too much of a headache. As Restream tends to get a little choppy from time to time. Doesn't want to open up the articles, share a screen. It gets weird. Makes you wonder what the hell you're paying for. But there we go. NBC News article. Man on terror watch list was released by Border Patrol. No, say it isn't so. And Heidi is here. Glad you could make it today. So here we are. Afghan migrant on the terror watch list, spent nearly a year inside the U.S. after being apprehended and released by Border Patrol agents in 2023, U.S. officials tell NBC News. The Afghan national was arrested in February and then released last month again by an immigration judge who was not told he was a national security threat. Mohammed Kwarwin, 48, was freed on bond as he awaited an immigration hearing in Texas. Where do you get money to pay for bond when you're an illegal immigrant? Anyway, his hearing is scheduled for 2025. Yeah, take your time. There was no restrictions on his movements inside the United States, U.S. officials said. After the article was published, a DHS spokesman said that Kwarwin was taken into custody late Thursday evening. They did not provide further details. I'll get back to this in a second. Kwarwin was initially apprehended March 10th, 2023, near San Ysidro, California, after crossing the Mexico-U.S. border illegally. Border agents suspected he was on the U.S. terror watch list at the time of his apprehension because one piece of information matched an individual on the list, but the agents lacked corroborating information, which officials declined to describe, that would confirm Kwarwin was the person they suspected, according to U.S. officials. All right. After processing Quarwin and taking his biometric data, Customs and Border Protection released him as they would any other migrant without alerting Immigration and Customs Enforcement about possible terrorism ties, U.S. officials said. Now, here's the meat of this. They mentioned that he was caught and released again. He's actually been caught and released 3 times. He's illegally crossed into the United States on 3 occasions. All right. And the first time he was thrown out, or I think the first 2 times he was kicked out. All right. Repatriated, as they say. The last time they let him go, but they picked him up again and let him go again here because allegedly, the judge didn't realize he was on the terror watch list. But then again, that's what your special interest alien is. And that's what we read the articles about a few months ago, actually, that as of, I believe it was October of last year, October 2023, since Biden took office and signed the executive order restricting the Border Patrol from holding anyone, some 74,000 special interest aliens have been allowed to cross into the United States. And of course, a special interest alien is someone who is reasonably suspected of or identified as a criminal or someone connected to terrorism. So he's been through here 3 times. All right. He's been through here 3 times. Now, they updated that this afternoon he's been reapprehended by DHS. The only reason that they reapprehended him is because of the story that broke this morning that made national news that, hey, you let this guy go 3 times and he is on the terrorist wanted list and he's here. What the hell are you doing about it? So to save face, they went and found him again and put him back in custody. So there you go. There you go. Doc Galt says, big surprise there. That guy will never be seen again. But yeah, they do have him. they do have him, but again, only because they were embarrassed. They were embarrassed by the news agencies. Urban said censorship test term 911. It's almost like they want another. Yeah, there you go. It's almost like they want another incident like in the World Trade Center. Helter says this seems like one of those obvious signs in the U.S. is going to miss, and then ask how did this happen? Complete negligence. Doc, who is it? No, Sven wanted to know if FISA passed. Sven wanted to know if FISA passed. And I think, do I have something on that today? See if I have something about that. I think it did. The spying tool, I think they did. I don't think I have an article on it today, Sven, but I think they did renew FISA, FISA. And Fluke Man is here. Thanks for joining us, Fluke Man. Were you the one that was asking about cats getting into your garden? Another thing that you could try, if that's you, is cats hate citrus. And you could spray something citrus around the perimeter of your garden, but not in your garden, because citrus is not good for growing plants. And Boogers is here as well. Glad you could make it. Doc Galt said maybe they should embarrass them every single time. And Heidi said that guy needs a bounty on him. Yeah, well, if there were 74,000 of them in here in the United States as of October from the last 3 years, there's got to be about 100,000 now. And that particular guy just happened to embarrass the system because he's been caught and released a few times. And so they went and found him. Congratulations. Which proves they can find these people if they want to. Because it didn't take but a few hours after the news stories broke for them to say, okay, we better go find him. You didn't need Dog the Bounty Hunter this time. Didn't need him. Didn't need him at all. No problem, Fluke Man. I guess that was you. Yeah, because usually if you put like a chicken wire fence around it, they don't like those. They don't want to climb them. But also, they hate citrus. But like I said, the citrus would not be good for your garden. It's not good for compost. So don't put it on the garden, just around it. Other creatures don't like citrus too much either. Just a little tip there, since you had asked. I remembered you asking about it. As we travel around here, we're going to talk about, since he did sign that executive order, giving all the dreamers a chance. Give the dreamers a chance. They may not wake up from the dream. They may not do anything but dream, but they're dreamers. Courtesy of sweet old, dear old, lovable old, reliable old, hairy-legged Joe Biden, back in the news again because he's making up stories again. He's making up stories again. Fox News article, Biden skewered for falsely claiming to be the first in his family to go to college. And they are calling him a path liar. I don't know, liar, but he sure does make a bunch of stuff up. He sure does make stuff up. Maybe he just believes that people will believe anything he says. Maybe that's what it is. Article reads, media users called out President Biden for claiming to be the first in his family to go to college in a recent speech. Biden made the claim while giving a speech in Wisconsin on Monday that touted his latest student loan handout, which is also top news. I think it's $7.2 billion in more student loan forgiveness that the Supreme Court ordered him not to do. While on the topic of debt and college, Biden said, quote, I, like an awful lot of people in this audience, was the first in my family to go to college and watch my dad struggle to help me get there. However, observant users like digital strategist and conservative influencer Greg Price did not let Biden's innocuous seeming statement go unscrutinized. So he makes the point. Price's post states, quote, Joe Biden just said in a speech in Wisconsin, I, like an awful lot of people in this audience, was the first in my family to go to college. That is a lie. One of the reasons we know it is a lie is because Biden has bragged several times in the past about how his grandfather played college football. Maybe that was the lie. Maybe his father didn't play college football. He described the other clip saying the video on the right is a speech from October 2022. In it, Biden declared his grandfather would really be proud of me right now. I'm not joking. He would, by the way. He was an All-American football player. Price subsequently shared a post from the RNC Research X account pointing out how the New York Times caught Biden making the same two contrary claims in 1987. The account shared a blurb from the article scrutinizing Biden's plagiarism that he was criticized for in his first run for president that year. And a lot of people don't remember that the first time Biden ran for president, that he was asked by the DNC to step down because they found out he was plagiarizing his speeches. The nearly 40-year-old article stated, Mr. Biden has said he was the first in his family ever to go to university. In fact, Mr. Biden said today, there are Finnegans, my mother's family, that went to college. National Review senior writer Ben McLaughlin also backed up the point, stating it's a lie. It's a lie. He was publicly caught telling 37 years ago. Maybe it's 1987. Maybe that's the problem. Starting that all over again. Starting that all over. Are we working properly? I sure hope so, because this is getting weird. as I kept up some of the comments here. Ugh, come on, restream. Hopefully everything is going clearly here. Urban says if only they were just dreamers, but unfortunately many of them are doers too. Yeah, but are they doing the right thing is the question. Doc Galt said didn't Biden also claimed back in the 70s that he graduated at the top of his class. Yeah, he's made that. I don't know when, but he's made that claim before as well, and it's also not true. His grades were actually not very good. And Max Mueller is here. Says his grandfather Corn Pop was a bad dude. And Fluke Man confirms it got a little choppy there. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Brian says it's funny when your wife calls Biden a you know what in your videos. Yeah, I know. I try to be careful about that because I don't want to get a strike because she says that word, the P word. The P word. She thinks he is. A lot of people do. A lot of people think that because he gets real creepy about around young people. Helter says we have the worst education system and the decay has only increased considerably under this administration. And Sven says he said he double majored and at the top of his class. Turns out he barely made it. He was exceptionally dim or lazy. It could have been an issue of him just being lazy as well. Maybe he just didn't want to be bothered. Maybe he just wanted to get by, skim through. He knew he was going to graduate anyways because wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and you know how that works. So he didn't care. He did not care. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do? But yeah, caught lying again, claiming that he was the first person to graduate college in his family, which is not true. Not true at all. He was not at the top of his class. He did not attend synagogues. He did not, when he was growing up, he did not attend Black Baptist churches while he was growing up. And, you know, you got to wonder again, people are like, why doesn't he understand people don't believe him? Well, because nobody confronts him with it. He's challenged by it, like he's being challenged here in the media. They're saying, hey, dude, that isn't true. We can prove it isn't true. But having somebody say that and having somebody do something about it is not the same thing. Ultimately, it's not the same. No one is stopping him. Nobody is holding him accountable. He was held accountable in 1987 when he was running for president. And they're like, dude, you plagiarized speeches. You need to step down because people aren't going to tolerate that. But that was the 80s. And it was a very different world then. It was a very different world then. It's changed drastically and not necessarily for the better. Not all change is good, unfortunately. As a matter of fact, most of the time it's by force and it turns out to be kind of a disaster when things change, especially when change is brought on us without our consent and sometimes without our knowledge. But yeah, nobody's going to hold him accountable for it. He can say whatever the hell he wants. I was the first man on the moon. I invented the motorcycle. I mean, what do you want? I used to sail with Jacques Cousteau. He could say anything. I just wonder, again, if he's so protected that he actually believes that people believe what he says. Because he is a very protected person. He's surrounded by yes men that agree with everything he says and tell him he's right all the time. What are you going to do? Or maybe he really does have dementia, because we've had that argument before as well. I've always put it out there. It's plausible that the whole dementia thing could be a deniability factor. He's faking it. That he's faking it just in case, so that he cannot be held accountable if anything ever gets really stupid. He could sit there and say, oh, well, you know, he's got dementia and he doesn't know where he is and what he's doing, and he can't go to court, and he can't speak to Congress, and he can't be evaluated. He can't be held accountable, even though if the courts really wanted to, they will bury you even if you can't be held accountable. Look what they did to Bill Cosby over something that happened decades earlier at the Playboy Mansion with consenting females who knew what they were doing. They took an old man who was also with dementia, could barely walk, and was blind, and put him in prison so that they could try to prove like they were cracking down on Hollywood with someone who was retired from Hollywood. Oh my God. I mean, think about that. Think about how the justice system works in that, or so-called justice system works in that regard. They'll bury him if they want to, or they'll protect him. Look what they did to, what is that guy's name? Ron Jeremy, right? He was a porno actor, Ron Jeremy, and they drug him through court. And it turns out the guy's senile, lost his marbles years ago for stuff that he allegedly did decades ago. And he's in the porn, or was in the porn industry. He slept with everybody. I mean, you're going to come forward now and say you were forced? I don't know what happened with him, though. I don't know what eventually happened with Jeremy. But yeah, I know when they were bringing him to trial and then they had him tested, they were like, this guy's mind is mush. He can't be in a courtroom. Flukeman says in the last century, people judged and punished you by your actions. Now your actions, whether it's good or bad, are subjective. Yeah. As we roll into the next article, and this is a Guardian article, and here it is. U.S. will require background checks for gun shows and online firearm sales. I have a lot to say about this. I'm going to read a little bit of this, and I'll get to my point. It says the sale of firearms on the internet and at gun shows in the U.S. will in future be subject to mandatory background checks, the Justice Department said on Thursday as it announced a, quote, historic new action to keep weapons out of the hands of criminals. The closing of the so-called gun show loophole, which exempts private transactions from restrictions that apply to licensed dealers, has long been a goal of the Biden administration and is specifically targeted in the rule published in the Federal Register today. Gee, I feel safer already. Quote, under this regulation, it will not matter if guns are sold on the internet, at a gun show, or at a brick and mortar store. If you sell guns predominantly to earn a profit, you must be licensed and you must conduct background checks, the Attorney General Merrick Garland told reporters on a press call announcing the measure. Quote, this regulation is a historic step in the Justice Department's fight against gun violence. It will save lives. The rule, which clarifies who is considered to be, quote, engaged in business as firearms dealer, will take effect in 30 days time and follows a 3-month consultation period that attracted almost 388,000 comments on the website at the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives. Yeah, and those are all people saying, what the hell bullshit is this? I've seen it. And it is bullshit. This is historic. It's historic that a gun dealer in a store, on a show, or through one of the few services by which you can purchase a firearm and have it delivered has to be licensed and have a background check. How many decades has that already been in effect? What loophole are we talking about here that this will affect that's supposed to be historic? Have these people ever been to a gun show or tried to purchase a firearm online at an auction? It is absolutely sold to you by a licensed dealer, and you absolutely have to go through a background check to do it. I've been to gun shows off and on for decades. It's been a while, but when you go, anyone here been to one? There's law enforcement usually present. Everyone's a licensed dealer. There's nobody, hey, dude, come and look in my trunk. I've never seen that or heard of it happening in real life. And you do the background check. Nowadays, the majority of them could do it on their phone and run your full Brady check or they have a tablet for you or something. This is bullshit for people that are too dumb to realize how the system already works. So they can pretend like they did something, and then they're going to use terms like historic to act like they actually accomplished something, which is a law that mirrors a law that already exists and has existed for freaking decades. Unbelievable. And Urban says gun registration, welcome to Canada. No, it's not registration, but you see what's going on here. Doc Galt says they already do background checks for online sales at gun shows. Exactly. And then Urban says at those shows, I wouldn't be surprised if half the licensed dealers on site are actually undercover government. Yeah, you never know. But and they don't have to be, because you submit your Brady check, that's being tracked. Obviously, it's being logged in that at least you went to a dealer and there was a check. And every gun show I've ever been to, personally, there's been a law enforcement presence. Nobody is selling out of their trunk. What loophole is this fixing? Do you think everybody is that stupid, Justice Department? Yes, they do. And my argument, as always, I know most people, they're not that bright. People are not half as smart as they think they are, and the other half are even dumber than that. And this is to pretend like they're doing something. Let's act like we're making changes. Freedom for All says apparently Iran is attacking Israel right now. Are they? Are they? I hadn't heard anything yet, unless this is just now happening. Iran's been on the radar anyways, and if they jump in, that means that UK is going to get in it. I already heard something about that the UK will put boots on the ground if Iran acts up. So here we go. If that's what's going on and it escalates, UK and get involved, and if the UK gets involved, they'll drag us in. And Flukeman says that the gun controllers know there are people who have the skill sets to manufacture their own guns, ammo, explosives, and etc. Yeah, but those people already work for the government, Flukeman. Those people already work for the government. And Doc says they've been to many gun shows and online sales. You don't get the weapon till they run your info through the NICS system. Correct. It doesn't work that way. There's no loophole. There's no straw man. There's no, hey, buddy, and like on the old Sesame Street, hey, kid, you want to buy a J? If you remember that, the purple guy with the hat and coat, psst, hey, kid, and it was usually Ernie. You want to buy the letter R? It doesn't happen. I mean, theoretically, yeah, maybe some people are doing some shady sales. Gun dealers are not doing that because they don't want to lose their license. It's not happening at gun shows because they don't want to lose their license. All right? And most people, at least honest people, aren't trying to buy what we used to call a drop gun back in the day, because they don't want to get in trouble. And odds are, if they did buy one that way, it would turn out to be someone undercover and you'd be screwed. Because that happens. So, shit. I mean, this is nothing. We've done nothing, and we're acting like it's everything. It's historic. I'm so sick and tired of hearing politicians talk about things being historic. It's bullshit. Absolute garbage. Whenever they say historic anything nowadays, I'm so tired of hearing that from politicians and activists. This is historic. Oh, is it? Are you sure? Do you understand what the hell historic means? Oh my God. Urban says there's a movie called War Dogs about a couple of young guys who inadvertently become the world's top arms dealers, based on a true story, apparently. Loosely based on a true story. Like, what was the name of that movie? Wolf of Wall Street. I saw, I believe it was American Greed, which does like micro documentaries on stuff like that. And they talked about Wolf of Wall Street and interviewed some people that were involved with it. And they said, we saw the film and nothing like that happened. Loosely based on a true story. There you go. Flukeman says the UK is too weak. Read an article a few weeks back. One of the latest carriers had to be operated by mostly officers because the government has shrunk the military so much. Well, maybe that'd be a good way for them to thin out some of their sailors in dresses. They can send them over there. They can put their heels on the ground instead of boots on the ground, and then get rid of that population that's causing them so much trouble. Doc says, I think it all started because of this ATF's raid on the airport CFO's home. And then Urban said the actual guy's name in real life was David Packhouse and Ephraim Diveroli. Okay. But that's the big story today. Also, all the news stories are buzzing about it. All the news channels, that is, are buzzing about it. Historic landmark decision by the Department of Justice will help to save lives and stop gun violence so the criminals can't purchase guns at gun shows and gun stores. They're not. I promise you they're not. They think we're so stupid. And again, it's because most people are not that bright. And there's a segment of the population. There's three kinds of people, right? People who know, well, there's two kinds of people. People that know most people are not that smart, and people who don't know that, okay? There's your two kinds of people. The people who know humans are not that bright and people who don't. In the category of those who are in the know, there are three kinds, all right? The kind that doesn't care. They're indifferent to it. You're a moron, I don't care. There's the kind that tries to reach people and state the obvious to them and say, hey, did you think about this? Hey, did you notice that? And those people are mostly ignored. And then there's the third kind, the kind that wants to prey on it because they can get money or power from it. And that's where you get your politicians. That's where you get your pastors, many of them. That's where you get your activists. That's where you get your people in the media, people that know that most people are not that bright, and they take advantage of them by feeding them misinformation to get them whipped up. It's incredible. You can imagine where we would be if everybody who realized that we're not that intelligent as a species worked towards improving the human race instead of trying to take advantage of them. Oh, yeah, and Urban emphasizes here, he says, yeah, because criminals shop at gun shows. Yeah, of course. Yeah, they do. It's like, yeah, we're going to go buy some guns at the gun show, and then we're going to rob a bank. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. It won't happen. Speaking of crime, we're going to jump from Fantasyland in Washington, D.C. to San Francisco. San Francisco. Should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque. And hopefully this will boot up without ache. As we wait and see, we are 34 minutes in and I still have not gotten my alert that I'm live. Just wanted to say. And this is a Benzinga article. Benzinga. Crime-ridden San Francisco seeks to allow lawsuits against grocery stores fleeing the city as mass corporate exoduses continue. Yeah, brilliant, right? More destruction of the state of California. Basically, again, I'm going to harp on it. I'm going to say it again because there might be somebody listening who's never heard it before. I honestly believe lawmakers in California are in bed with these companies, these billionaire startups that are buying up all the land in California, all the worthless abandoned land. I think they're destroying the state on purpose so they can sell it out behind everybody's back. Article: San Francisco has long been feared to be falling into a doom loop, a situation where taxpayers leaving the crime-ridden city results in lower tax revenues, leading to cuts in services and rising taxes, making it even less desirable to live in. That is correct. It can be especially devastating when a community's essential businesses, such as grocery stores, decide to leave. San Francisco experienced this last year when Amazon.com, who owns Whole Foods Markets Incorporated, shut down its flagship store in the city after being open for just over a year, citing employee safety concerns. Nearly 570 emergency calls were reported from that location in that period. Wow, 570 calls to the police in a year from the grocery store. That is crazy. That's more than one a day. That's like 1.5 times a day you got to call the police. Including desperate pleas for police saying man with machete is back, another security guard was assaulted, etc. Man with a machete, huh? At that time, San Francisco's Board of Supervisors member Matt Dorsey said he was incredibly disappointed with the store closing. Our neighborhood waited a long time for this supermarket, but we're also well aware of problems that we've experienced with drug-related retail theft, adjacent drug markets, and the many safety issues related to them, Dorsey whined. Now, politicians are attempting to fight back. Dean Preston, another member of the Board of Supervisors, recently introduced a proposal called the Grocery Protection Act, which would require a closing store to provide the city 6 months' notice and try to find a replacement supermarket for the location it's vacating. How the hell are you going to find a replacement supermarket? What the hell? If I quit a job, do I have to find you a new employee? That's some crap right there. Elaborating on his proposal, Preston said, "Our communities need notice, an opportunity to be heard, and a transition plan when major neighborhood grocery stores plan to shut their doors." Oh my God. According to the proposal, anyone impacted by a non-compliant grocery store could initiate legal proceedings. It's not just grocery stores that have had enough of the city. Other large businesses that recently closed their downtown San Francisco locations include Adidas, AT&T, Nordstrom, and Lego. Oh my God. Your city is so racked with crime. We don't want to do anything about the crime, but here's our solution. Here's our solution. We're gonna come up with a crazy law that makes it almost impossible for you to close your store down, and then we're gonna sue you if you don't comply. But it's damn near impossible. They couldn't stay open. In this case, Whole Foods is what they cited, because it was too dangerous for customers and employees. They said, listen, it's not safe. And they were probably having all kinds of problems with taxes getting higher and higher, being gouged by the city anyways. And then the insurance company, which sat there and said, you called the police how many times this year? Your rates are going way up. Or likely, we're going to cancel your policy. And you're seeing a lot of that in California as well, where we've read articles on that before, where insurance companies are refusing to allow any new insurance claims or new insurance contracts in certain parts of California or the entire state altogether. It makes no sense. And your solution is this market has to give a 6-month notice and has to find a subordinate supermarket to replace you when you move out. How the hell are they supposed to do that? Nobody wants to be there. We're not going to fix crime. We're not going to make the city safer. We're not going to lower taxes to make it easier on your business. No. We're going to come up with a law that makes it impossible for you to leave and impossible for you to stay open at the same time. This is sabotage. This is sabotage. They are sabotaging the city. I really believe it. I really believe it. This is about the most foolish thing that I've seen. If this passes, everybody should leave California. If it passes, everybody should leave California. Get the hell out of there while you can. And I know it's not so easy. It's not so easy to pick up and go. For most people, they can't just say, oh, I'm just going to move. There's a lot of logistics involved. You got to find yourself a new job wherever you're going, a new home wherever you're going. You got to be able to move or liquidate all your property. There's so much involved. Unless you're an illegal alien. And then it's just easy peasy lemon squeezy. Fluke Man says they've encountered people who are book smart, sharp as hell, are sharp, have well-paid jobs, but lack common sense and general knowledge, and some are just evil. Yeah. Some of them are evil because they think they're so damn smart. They think they're freaking geniuses because they have a piece of paper that says that they're smart, but not so much really. Dangerously ignorant and without any real-world experience, many of them. Urban says they're trying to redistribute wealth one veggie at a time without committing to an actual resolution. And then Urban also says Legos are expensive. You can do a tidy profit turnaround on the Lego street. Yeah, if you shoplift those, you steal the Legos, you sell them on eBay. Doc says all that suggests is that no corporate grocery store will want to touch California. Yeah, I wouldn't go down there. And Heidi said, oops, we accidentally burned it down. Yeah, I know. Then you'd lose everything because the insurance company probably wouldn't cover it because it's California. That's what it comes down to. And there's a lot of places where this is getting to be a problem. It's not just California, but I really think that they are deliberately sabotaging the state so that they can sell out the vacant property, the vacant lots, because there are billionaires, and we've already seen many articles on this, buying up huge areas of land in San Francisco and in other parts of California so they can build their little utopian bird cages for everybody to live in. Speaking of the destruction of California, it gets worse. We're going to stay in California for this next one. A Savvy Dime article. Something we've talked about off and on over the last couple of weeks with their wage hikes. Labor group demands California's $20 fast food minimum wage for all workers in California. Oh, here we go. We already saw this coming. And I saw another article about that other types of food service workers, that their unions are already crying and threatening to strike and causing other problems. Most notably, the cafeteria workers in the public school system in California, which actually make less than this. And they're like, well, if people in McDonald's are going to get 20 an hour, we should get it too. And then after they complained about it, everybody else who gets a minimum wage says, hey, wait a minute, we should get it too. So yeah, you're about to crash a bunch of industries that probably most of them can already barely afford to pay the people that they have working for them. So there we go. Across California, labor groups, $1 minimum wage for all workers. extends far beyond the fast food industry, has sparked intense debates among restaurant owners and economic experts who worry the rise in labor costs might just translate into higher prices for customers. You think? You think it might cause the prices of things to go up in California? Gee, I wonder why no one thought of that. Saru Jayaraman, Jayaraman, I don't know how to pronounce that, president of the One Fair Wage Advocacy Group, notes the drastic decisions Californians are making in light of economic pressure. She said, people are leaving the state or are not having children, not having families. These are all the very basics we should be thinking about for humans living in California and needing to survive. Yeah, but you raise the wages, they're going to raise the prices and they're going to fire people. This September, a signature from Governor Gavin Newsom turned AB 1228 from proposal to law, affecting workers at large restaurant chains with over 60 locations nationwide. While the law champions higher wages, CBS News reports that small business owners are worried about how this might affect their bottom line. Echoes of concern ripple through California's small business community following the new wage adjustments. One Los Angeles restaurant owner voiced to Fox Business fears of massive layoffs and massive job losses, highlighting the deep-seated anxiety over the financial visibility of the higher wage economy. One of the things also that has happened here is Burger King now. Burger King was planning on going to kiosk model like McDonald's, and they've stepped it up. They've made California a priority. They're going to lay off a bunch of their workers and fill all of the Burger King locations in California with kiosks by the end of the year. I saw an article on that earlier. They're pushing it hard now because they're like, shit, we can't afford it. Raise prices or get rid of the employees. Well, you know, the machine era is here, and there are many machines that can replace employees in many cases. So cut your staff in half, put a bunch of robots and kiosks and stuff in the restaurant. Problem solved until the next time this rolls around. Flukman says another new law before you as an individual citizen must find a non-California citizen to replace you before they're legally allowed to move to another state. Just grab somebody from the border. And Doc said corporate answer to $20 an hour will be automation. There you go. Then they will either have no job or a part-time job with no benefits. McDonald's is already doing this now. Yeah, they are and have been. Flukeman says that McDonald's pays their employees $20 an hour. That's their business, has nothing to do with other businesses. Isn't that one of the points of being a democracy, not a communist state? Well, it's they don't call it California for nothing. And Urban wants to know, okay, so if it's a 15-minute city, but there's no food within 15 minutes, I guess they'll eat those insect patties dropped from the government planes into the hood. Yeah, Bill Gates will help you out with that. That's what Bill Gates wants. That's what he wants. He wants you to eat a bug sandwich. Cricket sandwich, anyone? Or perhaps you would prefer an Impossible Burger. Do not eat that. I don't think you should. I can't tell you not to eat it, but I don't think you should eat the Impossible Burger. I did a whole video on it once before. That thing is a GMO nightmare. They don't even know what it is. They can't describe it. I've been to their website and I talked about it in a video it was at least a year ago. It's not meat and it's not exactly vegetable matter either. It's some lab-grown abomination that looks and tastes, I guess, like ground beef, but it's not beef and it's not vegetable protein either. So I'm like, what the hell is it? Well, they won't tell you, but they're very proud of the fact that they made this GMO nightmare. And they even tell you it's a lab experiment that they've been working on for like a decade. But I don't think, I'm like, impossible. It's impossible that I'll eat it. You couldn't pay me to eat that thing. I don't know what it is. I'm scared of it. And then Brian says Burger King probably took a turn for the worse when they became a Canadian company. Oh, no. It infected them, did it? And Doc says he tried buffalo for the first time the other day. It was awesome. Okay. I've never had buffalo. I've never had anything like that. And on the lighter side of the news here in a moment. But anyway, we saw this coming. All of the agencies in California that are getting less than 20 an hour, anybody who's making less than 20 an hour, their industry is going to bitch and whine now. And they're going to force the issue. And California can't afford it. California can't afford it. What are you going to do? Monkey says it's called Impossible Burger because it's impossible to figure out what was used to make that burger. Some like rudimentary protein paste. I'm trying to remember because, like I said, you can go to the website and look at it. Impossible Burger has it all up on their website. They don't deny any of it, actually. Some rudimentary protein paste that they introduce animal T cells to with a vegetable protein enrichment, and it grows into this mass of, I guess, bioflesh like gel in a big vat, but it's not really meat and it's not really vegetable. It's some bioprotein that uses T cells from animals to mimic flesh. It's like anybody ever seen the movie The Stuff? That's what I think of. That's what I think of. Doc said Lord Newsom needs the tax money. There you go. And Urban says instead of raising minimum wage, why not decrease foreign-owned property ownership so that minimum wage workers don't have to compete with every billionaire in China and elsewhere? Or stop wasting tax money and lower the taxes so that it's easier on the people and the businesses. Because the high taxes in California are why the living wage doesn't work. They raise taxes on everything till it makes no sense, till even millionaires can't afford to live there. It's not worth it. But jumping to an article here, and this is from WrestleZone. WrestleZone. Just wanted to talk about this. A little bit of a more lighthearted discussion, if you can call it that. I'm sure some of you probably are aware WrestleMania 40 just happened. Wow, yeah, it's been that long. It's been that long since the first WrestleMania. WrestleMania 40 just happened, bringing The Undertaker back again. And I didn't watch it. I don't watch modern wrestling. The golden age of wrestling, as far as I'm concerned, was from like 1975 to 1995, with the 80s being the pinnacle of wrestling. That's when it was the best. Everything since then has been ridiculous. It's been ridiculous. And The Undertaker makes comeback after comeback after comeback, and it gets worse and worse. And here you go, report The Undertaker Steve Austin at WWE Mania 40. Hinted that Steve Austin was going to be there. He didn't come. Fans expected to see Stone Cold Steve Austin interfere in the main event of WWE WrestleMania, given The Rock's involvement. However, The Undertaker appeared instead. A new report states that Austin was originally planned for the spot, and evidently they claim that the problem is that, and it's right here, it says The Undertaker dropped The Rock with a choke slam. Stone Cold did not make an appearance. Steve Austin was originally earmarked for the spot at the end of the main event. However, the two sides could not agree to financial terms, and as a result, The Undertaker was put in his place. And I'm glad Steve Austin did not come back, because it's my understanding that Austin has never come back, that he has actually officially retired, and that's probably why he kept raising the bar, hoping that he couldn't be enticed into getting involved again. Because these guys coming back, it's kind of disheartening. It's kind of sad. And Cyberjack Sr. says, thumbs up, please do. Please do. I hate seeing this. I don't know what happened because I didn't watch it, but it sets it up for him to make another comeback appearance. And he should have retired more than a decade ago. And he keeps coming back, and it keeps getting worse. All of these guys need to stop coming back. Ric Flair, please stop getting in the ring because they look tired and worn out and flabby. They look like they're going to have a heart attack and die in there. Undertaker, he's got replacement bones. He's got both of his hips are artificial because he shattered them both at different times, and he's had to have 2 hip replacements. Both of them have been replaced. Never mind all the other injuries. It's sad to see this. And then they think they can top themselves, and they come back again. And I know on the very last time that he did his comeback, and it was supposed to be against, I think it was Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns got in the ring and called him out. And what he said was true. You folded your coat, you put your hat on it, you walked away from the ring. It was beautiful. It was perfect. And you keep coming back and disappointing people. And everybody's like, ooh, ah, but it's true. And then the match with Roman Reigns, completely theatrical. It wasn't a wrestling match. It was 2 days on a studio set, filming this angle and that angle. There wasn't a wrestling match at all. It was a short film. It was pathetic. And here he is again, setting himself up again. Stop. Please stop. I saw the documentary on him, and they're showing him doing planks, getting ready for one of his comeback appearances. I think it was the one where he was in the tag team match. He gets into a plank and starts nosebleed from a plank position because he's so exhausted that his body can't do it anymore. It's sad. It's sad. Please stop. People remember you for the last thing you did. I hate seeing these guys do this to themselves. I hate it. And that match, that tag team match was brutal. It was pathetic. And Triple H, I saw him in an interview talking about it. And he was like, it was because it was Triple H and Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker and Kane. And he was like, I was really injured. Shawn Michaels was hurt accidentally, really hurt so bad that I don't know if I didn't think he could continue the match. I've got Kane in a headlock. His wig comes off in my hands. It was one of the worst matches I've ever had. I just wanted to see these guys retire. And Doc Galt says The Undertaker's had countless surgeries. I'm surprised he's still alive. And Brian made a donation to the channel. Thank you, Brian. He says, keep being you. I hope so. I hope I don't get bought off. I don't think I would be. There's a certain power in being able to say, I refuse. There's a power in that, in being able to say, I refuse, and not do something when you've been enticed. And I hope I always have that even if people throw money in my face, I'll be like, I don't want that. No, I refuse. I refuse. Urban says Andre the Giant was in excruciating pain toward the end of his career and felt quite bitter about being made the bad guy in the wrestling universe. He was a good guy who loved his fans and the sport. Yeah, it's a shame. You give everything and you got nothing else. And Urban says Mickey Rourke can't stop himself either. But with that, we are at the top of the hour, so I will go ahead and start signing off. Again, this is Coffee Talk, or at Coffee Talk Live, or at Prepper University on YouTube, simultaneously broadcasting at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday, as well as at Coffee Talk Chat on X, formerly known as Twitter, and fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Friday at noon. Special thanks to Brian, who made a donation to the channel. Always appreciated. I need all the help I can get. And thanks to everyone else who was able to join us here today. As always, hope you got something out of the conversation. And with that,